We want every side to come together to attempt to take down the 100 side.
Man, they gotta
We want
understand,
all the
right?
smoke.
We go off the content.
These particular videos all made possible by the one and only Wack100. Get ready to vibe with me as we explore the hardest topics that need some real recognition in the streets. Let's jump right into it and show some love to this channel by hitting the like and or subscribe button. So, without further ado, hold it down. One mic on Wack.
California, that's it.
Okay.
Two P's, what up, nigga?
What's happening? What up, Dub?
You know it, you alright?
Right. All good this way.
Absolutely.
Petita's still on the stage. No, she got off.
No, her bubble there. Her bubble up there.
We done with the content?
Nah,
I think Prince got
he
us
said
give
need
him a
5
couple
minutes.
of minutes.
Oh, okay.
We'll have the weather back to 70, man. We had a couple of 90-degree weather days randomly not too long ago.
I was loving it.
What up, y'all?
70s much no DVS. What up, W?
I spy messy. Dale been back. I never found out how they end. These niggas is messy, man. Some of these niggas is crazy, man.
I actually missed the whole thing. I heard about that, but you know, I'm not even for a recap, so don't worry. Figure it out later.
That's how that shit go here. Huh? You get a recap, that shit kick
There's
back
only
off.
a couple of people that are
That shit
qualified to
kick the
say that
beef
shit,
back
bro.
off.
Yeah, I know I'm not one of them, yo. You got Ebony, you got Beast, to name a few that are the ones qualified to answer recap. You know what I mean?
And beef get kicked. That shit go in Ray Give room. Ray Give get the he spin the block, he kick the beef back off.
It's a whole
Triggered
cycle.
after
A whole
spin the
cycle.
block. Uh-oh, there we go. It happened years ago, and they be still mad after that spin the block.
They get to talking in the chat while the audio playing. They get to arguing in the chat first before the audio finish.
That's funny though.
I apologize. I didn't know she said that part.
God damn.
Spin the block should be called ripping scabs.
You always catch something you ain't hear when it was going on. Like you hear that
Comparing
replay,
scabs.
like hold up.
Y'all ready? Come on, let's go. What's up,
I
baby?
thought she just said A and B. She was all the way down the.
That's what people catch the ad libs too. Like, oh shit, you was back there. I heard that. You was back. Oh, okay.
Thought you
You
said
was
you didn't say
co-signing.
nothing. Thought you said you didn't say nothing. Definitely heard you back there.
Are you was on the stage and they said that and you to defend me? What?
Oh, you ain't ping me. You just gonna let them talk that? You just gonna let
I
them
was
talk
asleep.
stuff?
I was asleep.
Yeah, all right.
I was asleep, bruh. I don't know if you guys remember who that was, but a long time ago. I was asleep.
Y'all be sleep, but then y'all click the link to the next room. I'll be like,
Hey, I'll do that with one eye all the time. That's true. Sometimes I'll just wake up just a little bit enough to hit the link.
I do that shit all the
And
time,
sometimes
nigga.
you
And go
Boy.
wake
right,
up 30, 40 minutes past the next room.
yeah, go right back to bed. How much I love you guys.
Yeah,
But on
talking
that
about
one.
305. Crazy.
Yeah, I was talking about 305. I was asleep, bro.
I'm asleep, bro.
I was asleep, bro.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I
Nigga,
was
you should have
asleep.
still said
But
something.
he
Bro,
always
what
used
the
to
hell?
sound
I'm
like he was asleep
asleep.
though. Like for
I
sure.
was
Like
asleep,
he was
bruh.
asleep. He might
I
have a
was asleep, bro.
disorder.
Oh, that nigga work overnight. Me and that nigga work
Yeah,
overnight.
graveyard shift. Yeah.
Hell yeah, we be sleep like a motherfucker during the day. Bubble be here, motherfucker be talking to an empty bubble.
Remember, this is not our fault. He brought this on himself. Y'all ping up and share the room. Shit free.
If I had the gunshot soundboard, I would have did them for you, homie.
Just go to Marathon Burger and just put your phone in there.
Or that V Tweezy replay.
You right. Or the KO one.
You stupid as shit, Prince.
Am I?
Talking about
Am
go to
I?
Marathon Burger, put your phone in the air. Bitch, you crazy.
You repeated it.
You damn right to repeat that shit.
Yeah, that was kind of retarded. Oh shit, y'all pick up and share the room, man. You finna be on some dumb. Don't forget, y'all. Since everybody's saying the paperwork fake and blase, blase, blase. Link up top to the paperwork. That's not fake. Y'all pick up and shit. All right, y'all. We don't want nobody to go to jail. Blah, 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 blah. All that other shit. We don't know nobody that's a member. Blah, 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 blah. All that other cool shit. Everybody is alleged. Blah, 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 blah. Pink up and shit. United States District Court, Southern District of Georgia, Savannah Division. Case number 425, Charlie Romeo, Triple Nuts 56, Romeo Sierra Bravo, Charlie Lima Romeo. Document 3, filed May 8th, 2025. Page 1 of 61. United States of America versus Antoine Allen, a.k.a. Biddy, Ryan Brandt, a.k.a. Street Life, a.k.a. Robert Kraft. That's an interesting fucking a.k.a. You ever get some money, nigga. Calvin Chigi, a.k.a. Breezy, Antonio Clark, a.k.a. Yayo, Hakeem Curry, a.k.a. E.T. Hack, Amir Douglas, a.k.a. Hot Boy, Latoya Edwards, a.k.a. K Murder, Brandon Gilbert, a.k.a. my nigga, what the fuck is your a.k.a.? Blacks the Menace, whatever. Imani Gordon, a.k.a. Juicy, Hassan Harris, a.k.a. Hocus. Brian Hawkins, a.k.a. Kosher, you better be a Jew. Brian Horn, a.k.a. Braveheart. Quinn Howard, a.k.a. the BQ or a.k.a. Q. Anthony Jernigan, a.k.a. Hellraiser. Brandon Jones, a.k.a. Big B. Leroy Jones, a.k.a. Roy. Terrell King, a.k.a. Drip. Robinson Lazala, a.k.a. Mac 11. Alexander Locklear, a.k.a. AR. These must be the shooters. Cal Ori, a.k.a. Nasty New, a.k.a. Nasty. Temeka Parker Bishop. Ramon Simone Roberts. Kashawn Sneed, a.k.a. Trig. Calvin Stokes, a.k.a. Cabby Stokes. Ricora Thompson, a.k.a. Rockabye. James Thorne, a.k.a. Nasty Knuckles, a.k.a. Knuckles, a.k.a. Knuckles. Pretty sure this nigga got some fucking squabbles. Antoine Wade, a.k.a. AP Gutter. Javarius Walker, a.k.a. Blaze. Joseph Washington, a.k.a. Gotti. And Michael Anthony Williams, a.k.a. Takeoff. not to be confused with the other takeoff. So, once again, that is a sex, money, murder indictment out of the United States District Court, Savannah, Georgia. That is every single person indicted with Hocus for a fifth. You did it to yourself. Now we got to go over it. Any questions? Y'all ping up and share the room, y'all. You know why we here.
Shit, let's go.
The grand jury alleges count 1, RICO conspiracy. And Peanut Homie AK, man. This is a history lesson, y'all. In the early 1970s, a group of street gangs united and formed a larger gang called the Bloods. This gang originated in Los Angeles, California. Now, this is coming from the agent. Please do not beat me up because of this, guys. This gang originated in LA, but spread to other areas. In the 1990s, the United Blood Nation, or UBN, formed as the East Coast offshoot of the California-based Bloods. The Bloods now exist throughout the United States. The Bloods are broken into individual units known as sets. Sex, Money, Murder is an independent set of the Bloods. Sex, Money, Murder was established in or around 1989, primarily by Peter Rolock, aka Pistol Pete. You guys obviously heard his name mentioned much times. SMN began as a local street gang in the Soundview Bronx. In the mid-1990s, SWN aligned with UBN in prison. When SWN was permanently active in Soundview, Sean Carr, aka Nut, aka Nutcase, as well as defendant Robinson Lazala, aka Mac 11, rose to prominence in the gang. So these are OGs in the gang. By the 2000s, SWN had withdrawn from the UBN and established itself as an independent set of the Bloods. Since its inception, SWN has spread from the Bronx in New York to areas across the East Coast, including Georgia, where it operates inside and outside of prison and jails. I.e., Something Ghost was telling you guys how SWN went from New York, moved to Georgia, why you get YSL niggas throwing up SWN. Make sense? Although SWN's leadership structure spans multiple states, each state typically has subgroups, also called sets or lines, which are responsible for carrying out the affairs of the gang within their individual territories. Typically, each set or line is responsible for representing SWN through the commission of criminal activities. This is all alleged. The generation of financial proceeds, the resolution of internal and external conflicts, and the enforcement of strict adherence to SWN rules and protocols. The structure of SWN is hierarchical in nature. Each set or line has its own lineup or hierarchy of rank gang members from each territory. The fact that this is crazy. A set or line and its leaders fall under high-rank national leaders, including the Royal Flush, as defined below, and are ultimately subject to the overall command of Royal Flush members. Historically in Georgia, SWN members were organized into 4 separate lines. However, due to intra-gang disputes and other factors, these lines have changed structure and leadership over time, hence the hybrid gangs. Starting in no later than in or around 2018, think about what was going around in 2018 with the whole YSL shit. Think about it. SWN in Georgia organized into 2 lines, G20 and 95 Lifestyle / 4/5 Worldwide. Hereafter, the 9/5 line. G20 emerged as a remnant of Rough Sex, one of the original Georgia lines. At the same time, some former leaders of Rough Sex formed a separate gang under UBN called the Imperial South Bloods, or ISB. Certain SWN members hold a specific rank within the gang or within a specific set. Specific duties and responsibilities are associated with each rank. The SWN rank structure often includes a delineation between incarcerated members behind the wall and non-incarcerated members on the streets. In many instances, leadership behind the wall always exerts control over membership on the streets. Rank structure and responsibilities vary behind the wall and on the streets, but are typically arranged as follows. Now, this is where the age is going to go into. Obviously, this is probably written by a gang intelligence or a gang expert, or that he's been told this by a CS, X, Y, and Z. They're going to go into the structure of SWM. Anybody got any questions before we get into it? No? Completely different from anything you guys heard about Cali so far?
Yeah.
Completely different. Let's continue though. Royal Flush. The Royal Flush is 5 individuals, allegedly, who are founding members of SWM with nationwide control. Then you have the Magnificent 7, consists of the Royal Flush and 2 additional members. The 2 additional members have nationwide influence over SWM activity, but have less control than the Royal Flush members. The CEO, formerly known as Big Guns, the highest ranking members within a state, usually with national recognition. The president, formerly known as a high, a regional or state level leader with authority over Pacific line within a given territory, with reports to higher ranking members. The fact they're calling them lions and not cars is interesting, but let's continue. Vice president, formerly known as a lower ranking regional or state level leader with authority over Pacific line within a given territory, who reports to the higher members. A general manager, formerly known as the 5th floor, a ranking member in charge of a local gang set. 4th through the 1st floors, local ranking members, with the 4th floor being the highest rank and the 1st floor being the lowest rank. Scrap, a SW member without rank. That's their rank structure. Anybody got any questions on that? We didn't get that directly from the paperwork.
Shit, like sound like they work for McDonald's or something. They got managers and
these niggas, they paying everybody. That's a lot of niggas to keep track of. You got a scrap, 1st 4 floors, then you got a general manager as the 5th floor, then you got a VP, then you got a president, then you got a CEO, then you got niggas, then you got 5 niggas. That's, you want me to keep reading, J.O.? That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Completely different, right? Keep reading. SWM is governed by a common set of rules, codes, laws, and ethics. Codes, laws, and oath. I saw ethics, but I said those. Members are required to pay monetary dues. It doesn't say how much, but I don't know. Members are required to pay monetary dues. Monies collected are used to pay for items used in criminal activities, including guns, to aid other gang members, or to enrich leaders, members, and associates. SWM members and associates use specific words, codes, and abbreviations to communicate with one another. I wonder how they know all the specific gang words you guys use.
So are you talking about a specific set in New York City, or is this nationwide?
So this right now is talking about nationwide overview historically of Georgia, the Georgia connection to SWM.
Okay, so the rules apply nationwide, basically, right?
Right.
Got you. So paying your dues applies to people nationwide, right? Not just in one city, right?
Per this document, yes.
Okay, continue on.
I will continue. Thank you. SWM is governed by, it's answering your question. SWM is governed by a common set of rules, codes, laws, and oaths. Members are required to pay monetary dues. Monies collected are used to pay for items used in criminal activities, including guns, to aid other gang members, or to enrich leaders, members, and associates. SWM members and associates use specific words, codes, and abbreviations to communicate with one another. Some commonly used examples are Big Brother, Dub, eat a plate up to be ate. Now, you guys probably heard us talk about what that means to eat a nigga food, eat a nigga plate, put a nigga on a plate. That's all the same code for cutting a nigga face off, right? Get a nigga $1.50, slice a nigga face with that box cutter, with that razor, same shit, just New York talk. So eat a plate or to be ate, target an individual who may or not be a SWM member for physical attack, including murder. Green light or smash on sight. Now, to most people, you would think that a green light would be the murder part, but to these people, they think that the quote-unquote eat a nigga plate is the murder part, but let's just continue. Green light or smash on sight is permission granted by a higher ranking SW member to commit a physical attack, including murder. On the street or in the hood, an individual who is not in prison or a reference to being outside of prison. Behind a wall or a G wall is an imprisoned individual or reference to being inside a prison or other correction facility. Interesting, they put G wall, not G Harmony behind the wall, but let's continue. Stain, respect their rank within the gang. You've heard that a lot in the Melly trial. Peter Rowe means to kill somebody. Billy Ocean, to stab or shoot someone. Aid and assistance, or A&A, helping the fatal gang member. It says OLA, a term of respect used when a low-ranking member addresses a higher-ranking member. That might be OLA. Dragon or Red Dragon, an individual who engages or has engaged in homosexual activity, a violation of SWM rules. Kitty, collection of money funded by dues and proceeds of criminal activity used to assist gang members and fund further criminal activity. So that is all the code words that they wanted to give you from SWM. Any questions? So they gave you guys the structure, the national structure. They gave you guys the history, where they came out of New York, UBN. They gave you guys a Georgia set. They gave you guys also a quick little expert about their language. Now let's get into the enterprise. Once again, this is all alleged. They still have to prove this. We're just reading the public paperwork. At all times relevant to the indictment, there existed in the Southern District of Georgia and elsewhere an organization, namely Sex Money Murder, defined as SWM, including its leaders, members, and associates, constituted an enterprise, which obviously affected interstate and foreign commerce, or they wouldn't be charged with RICO. The purpose of the SWM enterprise included, but were not limited to, the following. Obviously, enriching the leaders and members and associates of the enterprise through drug trafficking, wire fraud, bank fraud, introducing contraband into prisons, drugs and cell phones, right? Preserving to protect their power, reputation, and territory by threats, intimidation, violence, including but not limited to murder, kidnapping. Keeping victims and witnesses of the enterprise crimes in fear of the enterprise. Obviously, we're going to tell you a story later about OA, who allegedly they killed because the big homie had PDF on his jacket. Providing financial and aid and assistance. This is where Hocus 4/5 Bozo comes in, kicking up to the gang through the alleged COVID Economic Relief Fund, Disaster Fund schemes and scams. So the racketeering conspiracy charges: Antoine, Calvin, Antonio, Amir, Latoya, Imani, Byron and Brian, Quinn, Laurel, Robinson, Kashawn, Calvin, Ricora, James, Chaveris, Joseph, and Michael, aka Adolf. So, count one name that we're missing is Hocus 4/5. But let's continue. They're charging him with multiple threats and acts involving murder, robbery, drug trafficking, robbery, extortion, wire fraud, financial fraud, and money laundering. Members of SWM attended regular meetings, in person or over conference calls, where criminal activity and gang finances were discussed, and disciplinary measures against fellow SWM members were discussed and decided. They don't tell us how they know about those meetings. They don't tell us that they had a wire in those meetings, but they tell you exactly what happened in those meetings. Once again, someone probably is telling them that if they don't have an actual wiretap of conversations in that meeting, right? To enforce discipline and enterprise rules, members and associates of the enterprise committed and aided and abetted the commission of acts including murder, assault, and threats of bodily injury against those members and associates of the enterprise who violated rules, questioned authority, and were suspected of cooperating with law enforcement. Interesting. To generate income, leaders, members, and associates of the enterprise distributed, agreed to distribute, and attempted to distribute meth, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, and other controlled substances, and committed, agreed to commit, and attempted to commit bank fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. Members are required to pay dues. Money collected was used to enrich members of the enterprise, support incarcerated members, fund the purpose of the enterprise, and purchase items needed for the enterprise, including drugs and firearms. Dues were sometimes funded from the proceeds of illegal activities such as drug trafficking. Let's get into some of the overt acts. Y'all ping up and share the room. On an unknown date, but no later than July 28, 2019, Thorne, Hopkins, Howard, and Williams facilitated the sale and distribution of marijuana in the Georgia area. They don't tell us how much. Overt Act 2, on an unknown date, but no later than February 24th, 2020. So they was on these guys since 2019. On an unknown date, but no later than February 24th, 2020, SWM member OA, they don't give us his name, just his initials, OA, expressed a desire to leave the gang and alleged that Hopkins had impregnated an underage female. Read it to you guys one more time. On an unknown date, but no later than on or about February 24th, 2020, SWM member OA expressed a desire to leave the gang and alleged that Hopkins had impregnated an underage female. Overt Act 3. The same day, Williams, who was OA's big brother, they already told you guys what big brother meant in terms of the gang, in the gang, text messaged OA and told OA he needed to attend an SWM meeting. They told you guys what happens at these meetings, right? The same day, Williams, Hopkins, Howard, and now they give 2 initials. Here comes the co-conspirators. Here comes the initials. They're not telling you their names for a reason. We've been doing this for a very long time. Let's continue to read. Pay attention. So now, the little homie says he wants to leave the gang. Tells his big homie. Big homie tells little homie, pull up to the meeting. Now we're going to see who pulls up to the meeting as well. You got Williams, Hopkins, Howard, someone named SW, and someone named BB. They all travel, so you got 5 people travel to a residence located in Liberty County, Georgia. They pick up OA, so now that's 6 people, and drove OA to a location in Long County, Georgia, where Hopkins shot OA to death. So it looks like they allegedly picked up OA, took him to Hopkins, and then Hopkins allegedly shot him to death. On an unknown date, but no later than or about June 2nd, 2020, Thorne ordered another SWM member to dispose of the gun Hopkins had used to kill OA. Now, they say that with certainty. I wonder how they know that that was a gun that they used to kill OA. At some point, they're obviously going to tell you. They just don't have to tell you now. They either got the gun or they know someone that told them exactly what happened. On or about February 19, 2021, defendant Cal Ori, who's not charged, interesting, directed Thorne to provide gang dues to be used to pay for a website for Listen to Kids. Here we go again. A nonprofit organization that listed defendants Cal as a CEO and Thorne as a secretary, and directed Thorne to set up a bank account for the organization so that they could receive donations to be used to fund their film. Once again, if you guys want me to go back and read that, I will, but sets up a nonprofit and then allegedly used the donations for criminal proceeds. So easier to track at that point. On or about March 8th, 2021, named L. Jones sold coke to a confidential informant for $1,600. Street niggas. How much coke is $1,600? That's a CI that he's selling to. On or about April 30th, Howard sold marijuana to a confidential informant for $175. Sounds about a zip, give or take. On or about July 28th, 2021, Allen and King discussed future drug transactions, combining their money together to make a large purchase of marijuana. breaking the marijuana down for sale, developing their client base, and picking strategy for marijuana and cocaine. On August 5th, 2021, Thorne and Allen discussed various strains of marijuana available for distribution and discussed methamphetamine each had for sale. Once again, they're not telling us how they know. They're not telling us what they're discussing this stuff on, but they're telling us that these conversations happen. Pay attention. On or about August 7th, 2021, Horn sent Allen a video. Looks like they got somebody's phone. On or about August 7th, 2021, Horn sent Allen a video depicting the inside of a residence captured poker house, and Allen then reported receipt of the video to King. On or about August 25th, 2021, King sold an individual 1/8 of an ounce of coke for $150. Between on or about August 28th, 2021, and or about September 2021, King, Sneed, and Jones discussed a plan to rob a home in Georgia where drug proceeds were kept by an unknown male. On August 30th, 2021, King and Sneed discussed a plan to use firearms and smash to kill a robbery after conducting surveillance on the Georgia location the next day. On or about September 1st, Jones, King, and Sneed prepared to leave for the home invasion. The Liberty County Sheriff's Office arrested Jones for sale of cocaine. That's interesting. So they didn't let him get off the robbery. So between August 31st and September 7th, defendant Brandon Gilbert, not charged in this count, arranged to sell a Glock handgun to Allen in exchange for money and marijuana. Defendant would sell. Between in or around September 24th, in or around May 2022, Allen and other SWM members dubbed S member JG on the suspicion he cooperated with law enforcement. So whoever JG is, they're saying that's a rat and SWM. So between in or around September 21 and in or around May 2022, Allen and other SWM members dubbed SWM member JG. So they dubbed him. So once again, dubbed, they're telling you dub means greenlit, all of that shit. That's why they're trying to translate it for you in the beginning, their language. SWM member JG on a suspicion he had cooperated with some officers. Between in or around September 21 and in or around May 2022, Allen Douglas Lazala, defendant Cal Ori, who's not charged in this count, and King discussed killing JG. Read it to you guys one more time again. Allen Douglas Lazala, defendant Cal Ori, not charged in this count, and King discussed killing JG. There goes that Cal Ori name again. Interesting. And Cal Ori, who's also not charged in the first count, was the one who directed Thorne to provide the gang dues and set up the whole website for the nonprofit. He's also not charged in this count. But let's continue. Not charged in RICO at all. But at some point, he's discussing killing a quote-unquote suspected informant, but not charged in the RICO, though. Let's continue. On or about September 15, 2021, Allen called an SWM member and asked if anyone knew where JG was and located, and stated, "I promise, I'm trying to find a nigga to blow his whole face off. I promise you I am, bro." So once again, they're telling you that Allen called an SWM member, and this is the conversation that was on the phone. Once again, are these niggas wiretapped this whole time? They haven't told us yet. But once again, this conversation says, "I promise you, I'm trying to find a nigga to blow his whole face off. I promise you I am, bro." On or about October 19, 2021, Allen received a phone call from Gordon, who reported an unknown male had knocked on her apartment door in Georgia while holding a firearm. On or about October 19th, Allen directed Walker to drive to the apartment in Georgia and shoot at the unknown male in retaliation. Walker procured a firearm, and recruited additional unidentified SWM members to carry out the retaliatory hit. On or about October 19th, Gordon provided Allen with an address, and Allen directed Gordon to wait outside so Gordon could direct Walker to the Pacific apartment occupied by the unknown male. On or about October 30th, approximately 40 to 50 SWM members, including Allen, Clark, and Horn, gathered at Bayboro Park, located in South Carolina, to conduct official SWM business, in which defendant Sean Carr, aka Nutcase, who's also not charged in this indictment, and Cal Ori, who's also not charged in this indictment, called into the meeting from prison. So it looks like Cal Ori and Sean Carr, the Nutcases, are the ones that's in jail behind the wall. Just said that they called into the meeting from prison. Between October 28, 2021 and November 27, 2021, Allen, Clark, Horn, and King discussed a plan to conduct surveillance, establish a perimeter, arm themselves with firearms, wear masks to disguise their identity, and rob a poker game called the Poker House. So anybody that lives in Atlanta, Georgia, when
Yeah, love, this shit finna go crazy. This shit finna go crazy.